Hi guys, welcome back to TV Spoilers. The intense conflict between Sienna and Billy could bring some very interesting surprises to viewers. Do you think Sienna and Billy are a good match? The plot reveals that after all the emotional breakdowns between Sally and Billy, a new romance might blossom for Billy, potentially shocking the public. Perhaps it's a mistake on Sally's part, as Billy will sooner or later find another way out of this awkward situation. Billy always pretends his life is stable, then plunges back into a downward spiral, causing those around him to distance themselves. If this breakup with Sally continues, Billy might need a new lover at some point. What will happen if Sienna becomes Billy's friend in the upcoming episodes? It's easy to imagine Billy and Sienna striking up a conversation at a bar as they gradually develop feelings for each other. This could create conflict with Noah and pave the way for Sienna to fall into Billy's trap. Since Billy is still single and Sienna is being pursued by a completely unsuitable guy, perhaps the Y&R series should try pairing them up. They strike up a conversation in the most imaginable yet effective way. Not trying to impress, not trying to seduce, just saying things that are genuine enough to make the other feel respected. Sienna isn't overwhelmed by Billy's charisma. What catches her attention is the very human wariness on his face. The wariness of someone who's become too accustomed to self-deprecating to avoid admitting their plan. Billy, on the other hand, looks at Sienna not as a mystery to be uncovered, but as someone trying to balance between temptations and pitfalls. And that, strangely enough, makes Sienna feel more at ease. In Genoa City, the feeling of being at ease when around someone is rarer than love, and sometimes even more dangerous, because it makes one think they found a safe place. Their friendship, if it develops, won't be the innocent, harmless kind. It will carry a mental complicity from the start, because Billy and Sienna are both easily misunderstood and easily hurt. Billy tends to make decisions that both excite him and leave him with regrets. He likes the feeling of things moving, the feeling of being challenged, and deep down, he's obsessed with proving that he's not a failure, that he can still win somehow, whether in work or in relationships. Sienna, on the other hand, might be at a point where she wants to escape the pursuit of a completely unsuitable guy, but fears that if she rejects him too strongly, she'll be drawn into another battle. She didn't want to be the troublemaker, but even less did she want to be the woman who knows she's being wronged but remains silent. That's why the meeting at the bar easily became a bridge. At first, it was just a few encounters, a few questions, a few times sitting together a little longer. Then Sienna would begin to realize that beneath Billy's carefree and sometimes impulsive exterior was a man capable of understanding loneliness in a very unique way. Billy didn't need her to explain too much. He didn't ask her questions that would make her defensive. He simply listened in a way that very few people in Genoa City would, because listening means confronting the truth, and the truth is always uncomfortable. Sienna would find herself taking more than she intended, and that's when the boundaries of her friendship began to waver. Because once people reveal what they've kept hidden, they easily give the listener the wrong kind of power. Billy, meanwhile, would feel what he had been missing, the feeling of being seen as a human being, not as a case. Sienna didn't look at him with pity nor with demanding eyes. This was both a relief and a thrill for Billy, as he was used to emotions being accompanied by obligation or judgment. Without obligation, Billy might think he was free, and that very freedom could easily become an excuse for him to take one step and then another, until he realized he was on the edge of a precipice. And what made things most tense was the feeling that no one was entirely wrong. Billy hadn't broken any rules while sitting next to Sienna. Sienna hadn't literally betrayed anyone unless she had made a promise to Noah. Noah, in his eyes, was simply trying and persevering. Each person could tell their own story in a way that made them seem legitimate. But Genoa City's tragedy often begins with everyone having a reason, and sometimes that reason is an immunity from responsibility. When everyone has a reason, all moral boundaries become elastic, And that's when the audience feels their hearts tighten, because they see the collapse coming, but cannot pinpoint a clear moment to stop it. What surprises await in Billy and Sienna's relationship? Noah is driven mad when he discovers Sienna's betrayal. And while they're still trying to convince themselves they're in control, Noah may have already begun to see them as a real threat, not just an imagined one. Just one well-timed appearance, just one striking glance, just one moment Billy unconsciously shields Sienna as a protective reflex. That's enough for Noah to understand this is no longer a one-sided pursuit. And when Noah leaves with a chillingly cold expression, and Sienna turns to look at Billy with a mixture of bewilderment and burning passion in her eyes, the question is no longer, are they compatible? But if Noah decides not to give up, will the next moment at the bar be a confrontation, or will it be the moment Billy and Sienna cross the final boundary they've both pretended doesn't exist?